In front of us now is my potential race car for the Indy World Series. If I can just walk you around it, I'll point out some fundamental differences that we have from a Formula One car. Straight away, I think what we'd like to do is start in the middle of the car and then we'll move forward. As you can see here, this is the main refueling tank, which depresses in there if I've got enough strength. And they basically put 28 to 38 gallons of fuel in there, depending on when you pit stop, of course, and it's all gravity fed. Through here, you have a breather on the other side. Yeah, this is an important part here. This is the air jack, and obviously it plugs in here, lifts the car up. You've got to be very careful to keep your feet out of the way. Normally when we're in the pits, Kenny, who does it, will actually say, coming down, and you've got to make sure you're out of the way. Mainly because this car is another 500 pounds heavier than a Formula One car. Formula One car, if it's down to the weight limit, is about 500 kilograms. These, they weigh in at 720 kilograms. Moving across to the front now, some other vital bits of equipment on this car, which is very different to a Formula One. Bearing in mind that this car now is prepared for an oval circuit. This is an incredible headrest, which is very, very firm indeed. And then this fuel meter here is very, very important. I'm just about to zero it for you. You've got 44.9 there now, and you zero it. Every time you come into the pit, you have to zero it, and then you have an actual sticker which will come on here for the race, which will actually show you when you have to pit, if there's no yellow flags. Goes without saying, if there's yellow flags, the team manager will actually call you in if he thinks there's a window to come in, which might be better to actually sort of try and win the race and try and sort of do a bit of trickery. Again, on the steering wheel, very, very important piece of equipment here. Obviously the radio, and radio is very important for IndyCar racing, far more than Formula One, because of the yellow flag situation again. This little trick device, obviously it's only a switch here, so this switch, if you push it to the left, will actually jack the rear right of the right height of the car up, which will basically put cross weight into the car. Equally, if you push it to my right, the other way, it will jack it down. What that does, if you've got an oversteering car, you have a possibility of upwards of 50 pounds cross weight in the car to adjust it yourself while you're running. And on an oval, this little piece of equipment is very, very important. Okay, well, we're just about to show you the thing that's given me probably the biggest consternation of the last 4 years, which of course is the gear lever. I haven't had one in the Williams for a few years, and this is the magic device, which all cars have, and you just got to get used to it again. That knob is the actual knob I used when last time I used to change gear in 86, 87 and 88. So a little bit of nostalgia there. It's the actual same knob that I won quite a few races with the Williams team. This little knob here is for the brakes, anti-clockwise instead of clockwise to go to the front. Okay, the roll bar here, you push in and to the front to go soft, and the rear roll bar is set in the soft position already. You have to push it in and pull it back. Very difficult to do it when the car is standing still, especially when it's all preloaded. So, but those are the two roll bars which can alter the settings of the car. Well, along the front, what I'd like to show you is the suspension. The one thing that you can see, especially on an oval, is how strong everything is. Everything's very, very solid, and of course it has to be because of the G-force that you're actually pulling. The Lola car especially is, I think, and has been for the last couple of years, the best car to have in IndyCar racing, and I'm very, very comfortable to be driving this Lola this year. Just moving around now to the front, the other fundamental things that we have is the front wing. And we have the availability that when we make a pit stop, we can actually adjust the front wing. So if we have an understeering car or an oversteering car aerodynamically, we have the literally the facility to either turn this in or turn it out. If we've got too much oversteer, then obviously we'll lower this wing just a little bit, 1 or 2 turns. And equally, if we've got too much understeer, then we'll bring this flap up and give the car a little bit more downforce at the front. Okay, moving back now towards the second half of the car, there's some quite significant differences. Straight away you say, well, what on earth is this thing here? Well, this thing can make a difference if you're winning or losing a race. This is the blow-off valve. This is the valve that regulates the boost to the engine. Yeah, I mean, obviously it goes without saying that the single biggest difference between Formula One engine-wise and IndyCar is the engine, which is turbocharged. This develops probably a little bit more power than the aspirated engine, and certainly a little bit more torque. You don't feel it too much more because of the weight of the car on acceleration, deceleration. Moving on here, we have the turbocharger housed just in here. We have the wastegate system, and you'd probably say, well, why is all the exhaust enclosed here? And we have air blowing in here and out through the back end. Basically, we try and protect everything within the car because this can get well over 1,000 degrees C. So they house it, and the most important thing on one of these cars, especially on an oval, if one of these pipes come off or just leak, that can cause a major, major accident. Moving to the back of the car completely now, you can see the major difference between an F1 and IndyCar is that the underneath of the car finishes at the axle. As you know, with a Formula One car, the underwing of the car will actually come back almost to the back wishbone or right back to the end of the gearbox. The exhaust system, the wastegate, and the actual bodywork, the underneath of the car, finishes at the center line of the axle here. Okay, as you can see, the camera is now showing you the total underneath of the car. The reason for that is that in a Formula One car, it's a completely flat-bottomed car. Now, in an IndyCar series, the cars are allowed to have an underwing, and that's how we generate the downforce. So that's going back to, if you like, the ground effect days of Formula One without the sliding skirts. The underneath of the car generates an awful lot of download. Okay, the incredible thing is with an IndyCar as opposed to a Formula One car is that before you get into an IndyCar at a race meeting on an oval, you think that it's been in an accident already. I mean, if you can see, the whole thing is tilted. If I just move out the way here, can you see? The whole thing is preloaded to the left. And that makes it difficult for two reasons. One, the car's always turning left, which going into the left-hand turns is sort of fairly important. But the problem is, as you come out the turn, to go straight, you must exert a lot of force in the opposite direction to keep the car going in a straight line. The other important thing is how much you preload the left side to the right side, the springs you carry on the right side to the left also, and the cambers that are on the car. It is quite phenomenal, it really is.